The night sky of Xylar was painted in strange colors, glowing rivers of light cutting across the heavens. But for the lone human stumbling through the dark forest, there was no time to enjoy it. Branches scratched his arms, sharp rocks tore his boots, and his side burned where the beast had cut him. Every step left a trail of blood behind. His name was Daniel, an explorer, lost and far away from his team. He had come to this alien world to map its strange valleys. But the forest had swallowed him. Now it felt alive, whispering with every gust of wind. Glowing insects hovered in the dark like tiny spirits, and from somewhere deep within, strange growls echoed. Daniel pressed his hand on his wound, warm blood seeping between his fingers. He needed to rest, but he knew stopping would mean death. The predators of this planet smelled weakness. He had already fought one, a huge reptilian beast with tusks, and barely survived. Then he heard it, footsteps. Light and careful, not like the heavy beast. His heart raced. He ducked behind a twisted tree, ready to swing the broken piece of metal he still carried. The forest was quiet for a second, and then he saw her out of the mist. A figure stepped forward, tall and graceful. Her skin shimmered faintly under the glowing sky, like silver mixed with moonlight. Her eyes were large, glowing softly like twin stars. Her long hair, almost white, flowed behind her as she moved. She was no human, she was something else, something otherworldly. Daniel froze, breath caught in his throat. She looked weak, her steps unsteady, as if she had been running for days. Chains still hung broken from her wrists, her lips pale, her body trembling. Yet her eyes were fierce. She collapsed against a tree, her chest heaving as she whispered words he could not understand. For a moment, Daniel thought to stay hidden. Maybe she was dangerous. Maybe she was the bait of a trap. But then she coughed, clutching her stomach, and he saw the wounds, deep cuts, poisoned. Glowing faint green, she was dying. Daniel stepped closer, slowly. "I don't want trouble," he muttered. Though he knew she couldn't understand, he moved to offer water from his pack. But before he could, her eyes fixed on him, sharp, almost desperate. She whispered something again, her language soft and strange. Then, with trembling hands, she reached out, grabbing his arm. Daniel winced in pain, his wound pressed against her. A drop of his blood smeared across her lips. He tried to pull back, but it was too late. Her body jerked, her eyes widened. The glowing green poison in her veins flickered, and then, like a dying fire, reignited. Her strength surged, she gasped, and before he knew it, she leaned forward and drank from the blood running down his arm. Daniel shoved her away, horrified. "What the hell are you doing?" he shouted, but his voice only echoed through the dark forest. She coughed, wiped her lips, and then her body glowed, faint symbols appearing across her skin. Burning like starlight, Daniel stumbled back, his heart racing. "What did you—" But then his own skin burned, bright lines appearing across his arm where his blood had spilled. Marks glowing, alive. The forest itself seemed to hush, the insects dimmed. Even the beast growling in the distance fell silent. The air grew heavy, charged. The girl stared at him, her voice trembling but clear now, as if the bond had given her his tongue. "You drank my blood," she whispered, eyes wide with shock and terror. "Now you are bound to me, forever." Daniel's blood ran cold. He tried to deny it, but the glowing marks on his arm pulsed with hers. Each heartbeat synced when he stepped back. She staggered as if pulled. When she raised her trembling hand, his arm twitched too. "I don't understand," Daniel muttered, fear clawing at him, but she only shook her head, tears in her glowing eyes. "It is the law of my people. The blood of the royal line cannot be shared once tasted. You are mine and I am yours." Before Daniel could even answer, the forest roared to life. Horns blew in the distance, alien voices shouted, lights flickered through the trees. Soldiers were coming, hunting her. She gripped his arm tighter, desperation in her eyes. "They will kill me, and now if I die, you will too." Daniel's heart pounded. His instincts screamed to run, but his legs would not move. The bond pulled at him, binding him to her fate. The shadows of armored soldiers broke through the mist. Glowing spears raised, voices chanting for blood. The alien princess pulled him closer, whispering in a trembling voice, "You are my protector now, and they will never let us live." And as the hunters closed in, Daniel realized with horror, he wasn't just lost in a strange forest anymore. He was trapped in an ancient curse, one written in blood. The forest burned with the sound of horns, shouts, and heavy boots. Daniel's heart pounded, every muscle ready to run. But the glowing marks on his skin refused to let him. He was tied to her, the strange alien princess, bound in a way he could not explain. The soldiers' lights moved closer, sharp beams cutting through the fog. Their armor clanked, their strange alien language rising louder. She pulled Daniel behind a fallen tree, her breath shallow, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "They are hunting me," she whispered, and to Daniel's shock, he understood her now, her words clear, as if the blood bond had given her voice in his tongue. "They will kill me." "And you with me?" Daniel shook his head, his voice trembling. "Why me?" "I didn't ask for this. I don't even know who you are." Her gaze hardened, though fear still shone in her eyes. "I am Princess Liara, last daughter of the House of Eltheris, the bloodline of stars," she said, her hand trembling on his arm. "Your blood touched mine. The bond has chosen you. And now you are my protector." Daniel's stomach nodded. Protector. He was barely keeping himself alive, yet the glowing marks on his arm pulsed with hers. As if agreeing with her words, the soldiers came closer, their spears glowing blue, their voices chanting, "Find the traitor princess, no mercy." Liara's hand tightened. "If I die, your soul burns too. The curse binds our lives together," she whispered, eyes full of sorrow. "That is the law of the ancients." Daniel's mind spun. He had heard of curses, legends, but never thought he'd be caught in one. "So I'm stuck?" he whispered. "Forever?" Her lips trembled. "Yes, until death." The ground shook as the soldiers spread out, searching with their strange devices. Daniel's human instincts screamed at him to fight or flee, but Liara's eyes burned into him, her voice pleading. "You must choose now, run and we both die. Or fight with me." He gritted his teeth. Every part of him wanted to reject it, but the bond pulled him. Her pain was his, her fear was his, and when she looked at him he saw not just an alien princess, but a desperate soul chained by fate. Daniel grabbed the broken shard of metal he carried like a blade. "Fine," he muttered. "If I'm your protector, then I'll protect." Liara's eyes widened, hope flickering for the first time. "Then stay close. The bond will guide us." The first soldier burst through the trees, his glowing spear raised, his alien eyes narrowing at the sight of them. "There! The cursed one!" he shouted. Daniel reacted without thought, his body moving faster, stronger, the bond surging through his veins. He swung the metal shard, sparks flying as it struck against the spear. Liara raised her hand, strange energy crackling from her skin. The soldier screamed as both human strength and alien power struck him down. Daniel gasped, looking at his own hands. What was that?" Liara breathed hard, her voice low. "The bond. It gives us both power, but it comes at a cost. The more we use it, the more it consumes." 3 more soldiers appeared, their voices shouting, their armor glinting. Daniel felt fear again, but the bond surged, pulling him closer to Liara, guiding his movements. Together they fought, Daniel striking with speed no human should have, Liara blasting with bursts of light. They escaped deeper into the forest, their bodies trembling with exhaustion. When they finally stopped by a ruined stone arch covered in moss, Daniel fell to his knees, gasping, "This is insane." "I didn't sign up for this." Liara sank down beside him, her voice heavy with sorrow. "I didn't choose you either. Human, but the blood did. It is older than my people, older than kingdoms. It cannot be broken." Daniel looked at the glowing mark still burning on his arm, anger and fear in his eyes. "So what happens if I walk away from you?" She met his gaze, her voice breaking. "Then I die. And so do you." Silence filled the ruin, broken only by the distant horns. Daniel pressed his head into his hands. Trapped, chained to a stranger, to an alien princess with enemies at every corner. Liara's voice grew softer, almost a whisper. "You are part of a prophecy now, human. My people wrote of this long ago. A bound protector will rise when the kingdom falls. He will either save it or destroy it." Daniel lifted his head, his eyes sharp with disbelief. "Me? I'm just a man who got lost in the wrong forest." But Liara shook her head slowly, her glowing eyes piercing the dark. "No, Daniel. From this moment on, you are far more than that." And as the ruined stones glowed faintly under the moonlight, Daniel felt the weight of chains unseen, the curse of blood that tied his life to hers, an ancient bond that whispered of both doom and destiny. The horns of the soldiers still echoed in the distance, their angry voices rising with every passing second. Daniel's chest burned as he leaned against a moss-covered tree, the glowing marks on his arm pulsing in rhythm with Liara's. It was not just pain. It was a chain, a reminder he could not break. Liara crouched beside him, her silver hair falling forward, her breath sharp. "They won't stop." "Daniel," she whispered, her glowing eyes scanning the forest. They will hunt us until either we die or they do. Daniel wiped the sweat from his forehead, his heart still pounding from the fight. I didn't ask for this, he muttered, anger boiling in his voice. But since I'm stuck, we need a plan. Running blind will only get us killed. Liara's gaze softened for a moment, then hardened again. The bond is more than chains, it can guide us. But you must trust me. Before Daniel could answer, the crunch of boots echoed closer. Torches of blue light flickered between the trees, and alien warhounds barked, their deep growls shaking the night. Daniel clenched his makeshift blade. Looks like we're out of time. The hunters burst through the mist, armored soldiers with glowing spears, their snarling hounds dragging heavy chains. The dog sniffed the air and barked louder. Princess Liara, one of the soldiers shouted, his alien voice sharp. The king demands your head. Liara's eyes flared with pain and rage. My father sent them, she whispered, her voice breaking. He wants his own daughter dead, so the throne will never pass to me. Daniel's jaw tightened. Betrayal was universal, it seemed, no matter the world. Then we don't give him what he wants, he muttered, standing tall despite the fear crawling up his spine. The soldiers charged, the hounds leaping first, their fangs glowing with strange venom. Daniel swung his blade, the bond guiding his arm with impossible speed. He cut one down, the other tackled him, jaws snapping for his throat. Pain shot through his body, but Liara raised her hands, light bursting from her palms. The beast yelped and dissolved into ash. Daniel gasped for air, pushing himself up. Remind me never to upset you, he muttered. But Liara's expression stayed grim. More are coming, she said, her voice low. We must move. They ran deeper into the forest, the bond pulling them as one. Every step Daniel took seemed echoed by her. Every stumble she made tugged at him. It was maddening, yet somehow it kept them alive. The forest grew darker, ancient trees twisting into shapes that looked almost human, the air filled with the cries of night beasts. Daniel's breath came fast, but Liara pressed on, her glowing eyes sharp. Suddenly they burst into a clearing, and Daniel froze. Ruins stretched before them, broken statues of alien kings, toppled pillars carved with symbols that glowed faintly in the moonlight. Liara's steps faltered, her lips trembling. This place, it's older than my kingdom, she whispered, tracing the carvings with her fingers. It tells of the bond, of protectors bound by blood. Daniel stepped closer, squinting at the carvings. The pictures showed pairs, one royal, one warrior, their bodies tied together with glowing lines. Some stood in triumph, others burned in flames, his stomach twisted. So this isn't new, he said slowly. It's been happening for ages, Liara nodded, her face pale. And always. The bond ends in blood, either salvation or ruin. There is no escape. Before Daniel could reply, the sound of armor crashing through the trees returned. The hunters had tracked them, their torches glowing brighter. Liara's eyes widened. They will surround us. We cannot fight them all. Daniel looked at the carvings again, anger burning inside. Prophecy or curse, I don't care. If this bond means I fight for you, then I'll do it. He turned, gripping his blade tight, his voice steady. If I'm stuck with you forever, then they'll have to go through me first. Liara's breath caught, her eyes softening for just a second. But then the soldiers appeared, their spears raised, their voices chanting, Traitor, princess! Kill them both! The clearing exploded into chaos. Daniel fought with a fury he never knew he had, every strike guided by the bond, every movement sharpened by something beyond human. Liara fought at his side, her light blasting enemies back. Together they were unstoppable, until the commander stepped forward. He was taller than the rest, his armor black, his spear glowing like fire. His eyes burned with hatred as he pointed at Daniel. A human protector? He spat. Blasphemy. You will die first, Daniel's heart pounded, his arms heavy, his body screaming from the fight. But he raised his blade anyway. You'll have to try, he growled. The commander lunged, his spear slashing down like lightning. Daniel blocked, sparks exploding, the bond surged, filling him with strength not his own. Liara cried out, her power flaring. The forest itself seemed to tremble as their fight began. The fate of a princess, a human and an ancient curse burning in every strike. And as Daniel locked blades with the commander, he realized this was no longer just about survival. This was war. The clash with the commander had left Daniel shaking, his arms heavy, his breath ragged. The broken blade in his hand nearly snapped from the force of the last strike. Liara's light had saved them both, blinding the enemy long enough for them to escape into the deeper forest. Now the night was silent again, but it was not peace. It was the heavy silence before another storm. Daniel leaned against a jagged stone wall, blood dripping from his arm, his whole body trembling. "I can't keep doing this," he muttered. "They're stronger, faster, better armed. If we fight them head-on, we're dead." Liara knelt beside him, her glowing hands hovering over his wound, light seeping into his skin to heal the cut. "And yet you still fought," she said softly, her voice carrying both gratitude and sorrow. "The bond gave you strength, Daniel. But it also tied you to my fate." Daniel looked at her, his jaw tight. "This bond," he growled. "What exactly is it? Why does it make me fight like I'm not even myself?" Liara's eyes lowered, sadness clouding them. She motioned toward the ruins they had stumbled upon, a circle of broken pillars surrounding a cracked stone altar, strange carvings still glowing faintly. "This place holds the answers," she whispered. "The Temple of Vera, the first of my kind who shared blood with another." They stepped closer. Daniel reluctantly, his body heavy but his curiosity stronger. The carvings showed stories like before, royals and their protectors bound by glowing lines. But now he saw more detail. Some pairs stood with crowns raised high, armies kneeling before them, others lay broken, fire and destruction spreading in their wake. Liara traced her fingers across one carving, her voice shaking. The bond was never meant for mortals. It was a curse of the stars, a way to tie two lives so they could not be broken apart. It gave strength, but also doom. Daniel frowned, anger still burning inside him. "So I didn't just get tied to you. I got tied to your whole cursed destiny." Liara looked at him then, her eyes shimmering with guilt. "Yes, and I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You should never have been part of this, but the bond chose you." "Not me." Daniel turned away, his fists clenched. He wanted to scream, to break free. But the marks on his arm glowed brighter, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat every time he tried to distance himself. His chest burned as if tearing apart. "Then tell me the truth," Daniel said, his voice sharp. "What happens if I keep fighting with you? What's the end of this bond?" Liara hesitated, then pointed to another carving. The largest one, it showed two figures, one royal, one protector, standing at the heart of a battlefield. Above them, words etched deep. "The protector will either save the kingdom or burn it to ashes." Daniel's chest tightened. "So I get to be your sword or your executioner," he muttered, his voice heavy. Liara's hand touched his arm gently, the bond glowing brighter at her touch. "It doesn't have to end in ruin," she whispered. "If we trust each other, if we fight together, maybe we can change the prophecy." Daniel stared at her, her silver hair glowing faintly in the moonlight, her eyes filled with both fear and determination. Part of him wanted to trust her, part of him screamed to run before he could answer. The ground beneath them rumbled. The altar cracked further, releasing a faint mist. Symbols on the stones lit up, and suddenly Daniel felt his chest burn with fire. Visions flashing in his head. He saw Liara standing on a throne of light, and then again standing over a world burning. Both images bound to him, he gasped, falling to his knees. Clutching his chest, "What is happening to me?" Liara dropped beside him, her voice desperate. "The temple is showing you the truth, Daniel. The bond is more than chains, it is destiny." The vision faded, leaving only the heavy silence again. Daniel's breath ragged, his mind racing. "So that's it," he muttered. "I'm the key to saving your kingdom or destroying it." Liara's face was pale, but her voice was steady. "Yes. And the choice will be yours," Daniel laughed bitterly. Though no humor was in it. "Great, I didn't even want to be here. And now I'm the deciding piece in your royal war." Before Liara could answer, distant horns blew again, louder this time, closer. The hunters had tracked them to the temple. Shadows flickered at the tree line. Liara's hand trembled as she gripped his, her voice sharp with urgency. "They will not stop, Daniel. We must keep moving. But remember this, every battle we fight will bring us closer to that choice." Daniel clenched his jaw, his heart heavy. "Then let's hope I make the right one." The temple's glow faded as they stepped away, the bond burning brighter than ever, the prophecy heavy on their shoulders. And as the soldiers closed in once more, Daniel realized the forest was no longer just a battleground. It was the path to a destiny he never asked for. The forest opened into a hidden valley, torches glowing faintly between wooden huts. shadows of watchmen moving carefully along the ridges. Daniel tightened his grip on the shard of metal he still carried as a weapon. His eyes scanning every corner, Liara walked ahead, her silver hair reflecting the torchlight, the glowing marks on her arms covered hastily with cloth. "This is the camp of the rebels," she whispered, her voice low. "They hate the king as much as I do. Maybe they will help us." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "And maybe they'll kill us both for leading soldiers to their door," he muttered, still on edge. The guards spotted them first, bows raised, sharp alien voices demanding answers. But when they saw Liara, their expressions shifted. Whispers spread quickly. "The princess lives. The royal bloodline still breathes." They were pulled into the camp, past rough tents and alien machines patched together from scraps. Dozens of eyes followed, some with awe, some with suspicion. The leader of the rebels, a scarred alien woman with armor made from broken spears, stepped forward. "You should be dead," the woman said, her voice deep and harsh. "The king declared your execution weeks ago." Liara stood tall, though her hands trembled. "He betrayed me." "His own daughter," she said, voice steady. "But the bond has chosen me a protector, and together we will take back the throne." The rebels gasped at the word bond, their eyes snapping to Daniel, who shifted uncomfortably under their stares. The scarred woman's eyes narrowed. "A human?" she hissed. "The protector is not even one of us?" Daniel crossed his arms, forcing his voice to stay calm. "Believe me, I didn't sign up for this either." For a long moment the camp was silent. Then the woman gave a short nod. "If the bond chose you, we will not question it yet," she said, though suspicion lingered in her eyes. That night Daniel and Liara sat by the fire, the rebels sharing food that tasted bitter but warm. Liara whispered to Daniel, "We are safe, for now," but Daniel noticed the way the rebels kept staring, whispering in corners, their eyes sharp on him. He felt the weight of being an outsider, an intruder in their war. The next morning, Daniel sparred with some of the rebels, testing his strange bond-given strength. At first they laughed, mocking the human with his broken blade, but when he moved with impossible speed, knocking down 2 warriors in seconds, their laughter turned to uneasy silence. Whispers grew louder. "The bond favors him, but he is not of our kind." Daniel caught Liara's eye. She forced a smile, but her face was pale. She could feel the shift in the air, too. By nightfall, the camp had grown restless. Some rebels cheered for Liara, calling her the true heir. Others muttered darkly, saying the bond had been corrupted, that a human could never be trusted. Daniel felt the tension like a blade at his throat, and then it came. A shout split the night, torches flared, and soldiers burst into the camp, their spears glowing, their warhounds barking. Chaos erupted as rebels scrambled for weapons. Daniel swung his blade, cutting down one soldier. Liara blasted another with light, but Daniel's eyes caught something in the firelight. The scarred rebel woman, standing back watching, a small signal torch still burning at her feet. Realization hit like ice. "She betrayed us," Daniel shouted, blocking a spear strike. "She called them here?" Liara's face went pale, horror in her eyes. The camp leader had traded them for survival. The battle raged, rebels falling on both sides, some fighting for Liara, others turning against her. Daniel grabbed her hand, pulling her through the chaos. "We have to go now." Liara stumbled, looking back as flames consumed the camp she once hoped would save them, her voice breaking. "They were supposed to be our allies." Daniel's jaw clenched, dragging her forward through the burning wreckage. "Allies or enemies, it doesn't matter anymore. We can't trust anyone." They burst through the far side of the valley, the sounds of screams and fire fading behind them. Daniel's chest heaving, his anger burning hotter than the flames. This bond, this prophecy, it's not just a curse, it's a target. Anyone close to us is either going to betray us or die. Liara's eyes shimmered with tears, the glow of the bond reflecting in them. "Then maybe it's true," she whispered. "The bond will only bring ruin." Daniel stopped, turning to face her, his voice sharp. "No, don't you dare believe that. We're still alive, aren't we? That has to mean something." She stared at him for a long moment, her trembling hand reaching for his arm, the bond pulsing warmly beneath their skin. "Then we must stand together, Daniel. Even if the whole galaxy turns against us," Daniel nodded slowly, though doubt still gnawed at him. "Together," he said firmly, and as the night swallowed them once more, the flames of betrayal still burning in the distance, Daniel realized they were no longer just fugitives. They were hunted alone, and bound by blood to a destiny that was growing darker with every step. The flames of the rebel camp still lit the horizon behind them, black smoke rising into the night sky. Daniel and Liara moved quickly through the shadowed valleys, their bodies aching, their hearts heavy. Neither spoke for a long time. Every sound in the forest felt louder, branches breaking, wind howling through the trees, the distant cries of beasts. Daniel's chest still burned from the bond, but worse than the pain was the memory of betrayal, the faces of rebels who had smiled at them hours ago, now either dead or traitors. Finally, Liara broke the silence, her voice low, trembling. "Maybe they were right," she whispered. "Maybe the bond is cursed. Maybe it will only bring death to anyone who follows us." Daniel stopped, turning to face her, his eyes sharp in the moonlight. "Stop blaming yourself," he said firmly. "Your father, those soldiers, the traitors, they chose this, not you. We survived because of the bond, not in spite of it." Liara looked at him, tears in her glowing eyes. "You don't understand, Daniel. I was raised to believe the bond is sacred, a gift of the stars, but every story I've seen ends in ruin. What if our fate is the same?" Daniel clenched his jaw, his voice steady. "Then we make our own story. I don't care about prophecies. I care about surviving." They kept moving until the forest thinned. Opening onto a ridge below them stretched the capital of Xylar, towers of silver stone, glowing with blue lights, and at its heart, a black fortress that pulsed like a wound. Liara's breath caught. "The citadel," she whispered, her body stiffening. "My father sits on that throne, and if we want to end this, we must face him there." Daniel stared down at the city, an ocean of enemies between them and the fortress. His stomach knotted. "That's suicide," he muttered. "There's no way we fight through all of that." Liara's eyes lowered, her voice breaking. "Then I must make a choice." Daniel frowned. "What choice?" She turned toward him, the glow of her bond mark pulsing. "The bond ties us together, Daniel, but it also gives me power I was never meant to have. I feel it growing stronger every day if I unleash it fully. I could tear through the citadel, end my father's reign." Daniel's chest tightened. "And the cost?" he asked quietly. Liara's voice was soft, full of sorrow. "The bond feeds on life, on soul. If I pour everything into it, it could kill me, and if I die, you—" Her voice broke. She couldn't finish, but Daniel already knew, his hands clenched into fists. "No," he said sharply. "Don't even think about it. If you go down that path, we both die, and everything we fought for means nothing." Liara stepped closer, her eyes shimmering in the dark. "And if I do nothing, thousands more will die under his rule. My people will remain slaves. My world will burn. How can I stand by and let that happen?" Daniel's breath grew heavy, torn between fear and anger. "You're not alone anymore, Liara. You don't have to carry this burden by yourself. We'll find another way." She reached up, her trembling hand touching his cheek, the bond glowing warmly between them. "You've given me hope I thought I lost," she whispered, her voice breaking, "but I cannot let you die for me." Daniel caught her hand, his voice rough with emotion. "And I can't let you throw your life away, not for a kingdom, not for revenge, not for anything." The bond pulsed harder, their hearts beating as one, the pull between them undeniable. Liara's tears slipped down her face, her lips trembling. "Daniel, I don't know if this bond is curse or blessing anymore, but I know this. Without you, I cannot go on." Daniel's chest tightened at her words, something deeper than duty burning in his heart. "Then don't leave me," he whispered. "We fight together, we live together, or we die together. That's the deal." Liara's voice cracked into a small laugh, broken by tears. "Stubborn human," she murmured. "Always fighting even when the stars say no." Before Daniel could answer, the night exploded with sound. Drums echoed from the city below, horns blared, the citadel's black towers lit up with fire, and from the fortress gates a monstrous figure emerged, a beast of stone and shadow taller than the trees, chains dragging from its arms, Liara's face drained of color. "The Guardian," she whispered, her voice shaking. "My father has unleashed it. A creature older than the citadel itself. No army has ever survived its wrath." Daniel's grip tightened on his weapon, his eyes locked on the approaching beast. "Then I guess it's our turn to try." he muttered. Liara turned to him, her body trembling, her voice breaking with the weight of her choice. If we face that monster, Daniel, I may have to use the bond fully, and if I do, we might not survive. Daniel looked at her, his voice steady, filled with fire. Then make me a promise, Liara, no matter what. Don't give up on us, not now, not ever. Her eyes locked with his, glowing brighter than ever, she whispered, I promise. And as the Guardian's roar shook the mountains, Daniel and Liara stood side by side, two souls bound by blood, love, and fate, ready to face the darkness together. The Guardian's roar echoed across the valley, shaking trees and stones loose from the cliffs. Daniel's hands trembled as he tightened his grip on his broken blade. The beast was massive, its body covered in black stone plates, its eyes glowing red like fire. Each step made the earth quake. Beside him, Liara's silver hair whipped in the wind, her glowing marks flaring brighter than ever. Daniel glanced at her, his voice sharp. Tell me we can kill that thing. Liara swallowed hard, fear clear in her eyes. It was made to guard the citadel, Daniel, to kill anything that stands against the throne. No one has ever defeated it. Daniel forced a smirk, though his chest was heavy with dread. Then maybe it's about time someone did. The Guardian charged, chains dragging, its roar splitting the air. Daniel dodged the first strike, the ground exploding where the beast's fist landed, rocks and dust flying everywhere. He coughed, blood filling his throat. We can't beat it head on, he shouted. Liara raised her hands, light bursting from her palms, striking the beast's chest. The Guardian staggered, but it did not fall. Instead, it roared louder, its chains whipping around like whips of steel, smashing trees to splinters. Daniel rolled aside, his body screaming in pain. The bond burned inside him, each pulse sinking with Liara's energy. He felt her fear, her exhaustion, and her resolve. Daniel, she cried, her voice breaking. The bond, it's the only way. If we give it everything together we can break the Guardian, but it will drain us both. Daniel's jaw tightened, his heart pounding. And if we don't, it kills us anyway, he shouted back. They moved as one, the bond guiding their steps. Daniel rushed forward, his blade glowing faintly now with Liara's light. He slashed at the Guardian's leg, sparks flying. Liara unleashed a wave of energy at the same spot. The beast stumbled, roaring in pain. For the first time, Daniel saw it falter. It works, he yelled, hope flickering, but the Guardian was not done. Its massive hand swung like a falling mountain. Daniel was too slow this time. The blow sent him flying, crashing against the stone ruins. Pain tore through his body. His vision blurred. Liara screamed, falling to her knees as the bond dragged her down with his pain. She clutched her chest, her tears glowing in the light of her marks. Daniel, get up, please. Daniel coughed, forcing himself to stand, his body broken. But when he looked at her, when he saw her desperation, something inside him burned brighter than pain. He gritted his teeth, whispering, not yet. Not while she needs me. He staggered back into the fight, the bond flaring like fire. Liara's power flowed into him, his broken blade shining like a star. Together they struck again, Daniel cutting deep into the beast's arm, Liara blasting its chest. The Guardian howled, cracks spreading across its stone body. But with every strike, the bond drained them. Daniel felt his heart racing toward collapse, Liara's knees buckling. Then the Guardian reared back, its chest glowing red, preparing to unleash its final attack. The air burned with heat. Daniel's eyes widened. Liara, it's going to finish us. Liara's face was pale, tears sliding down her cheeks, her voice trembling. Then this is the moment. I choose. Daniel turned to her, fear in his eyes. Don't you dare, don't you leave me. She smiled weakly, her hand touching his, the bond pulsing with warmth. I told you before, Daniel. With you, I finally had hope. But if one of us must burn, let it be me. The bond glowed like a sun. Liara stepping forward, her body shining brighter and brighter. Daniel felt her slipping away, his chest burning with agony. He grabbed her arm, shouting, No! We do this together. Or not at all. For a heartbeat, time seemed to stop. Their glowing marks pulsed in unison. 2 hearts. 1 fate. Liara gasped as Daniel pulled her close, their bond merging completely. Not her power or his, but theirs. The Guardian roared and unleashed its attack, but Daniel and Liara's combined energy met it head-on. A blinding wave of light tore through the valley. Shaking the citadel itself, the Guardian screamed, cracks spreading across its massive body until it shattered into dust, chains snapping. Silence followed. Only the faint glow of their bond lighting the night. Daniel collapsed to his knees, Liara falling beside him, both trembling, barely alive. The people of the capital, watching from the walls, fell silent, their eyes wide. They had seen the impossible. The cursed princess and her human protector destroying the undefeatable Guardian. Daniel coughed, forcing a grin. See? Told you. Someone had to kill it. Liara laughed weakly through her tears, resting her head against his shoulder. Stubborn human, she whispered. You really don't know how to quit. Torches flickered in the city below as voices began to chant, not in anger, but in awe. Princess Liara. Princess Liara. For the first time, Liara's eyes filled with hope instead of fear. She looked at Daniel, the bond between them glowing softly now, no longer burning, but alive. Maybe it was never a curse, she whispered. Maybe it was the stars giving me you. Daniel wrapped his arm around her, exhausted but smiling faintly. Then let's make sure we use it right. And as dawn broke over the ruined valley, Liara and Daniel stood together, bound not just by blood but by choice, their love and courage turning a curse into the galaxy's last hope.